So everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Top 10 again. This time Hat in Time user created maps, this time for all of December. Now in December we only had like 11 or 12 or whatever custom maps, but oh my god were they amazing. We actually had so many good custom maps in December that for this time I'm actually going to do it a little bit different than usual. Like usually I count down from 10 to 1, but this time I'm actually going to start with number 1. And number 1 is the Hat in Time visual novel, The McDonald's Adventure with Habboi and Timmy-san by DanielCNR. Now this map is I don't know, usually when you think of Hat in Time custom maps, you think of all of these different things and ways how you can make a platforming stage, but you never think about something like creating a visual novel, and it actually works really well with the lore, if you could even call it that, of the actual game behind it, and it uses all these different characters, not just from Hat in Time, as you've all grown to love, but also from all these other games. It just brings a tear to my eye whenever I play this map. Is there a speck of dust over there? I mean, nice meme, Daniel. Nice meme, Daniel. Moving on, number 9, we have Starlane Stroll Time Rift by Elsie. So Starlane Stroll it's a pretty straightforward map, mostly because it really is just straightforward. You just move forward all the time. But I don't know. I really this is something that always makes me sad when I see someone put so much effort into making sure that there's really good music in the background, that everything looks really nice, that it has an interesting theme going on. There's like you like move towards this giant planet or moon or whatever in the background, and you've got this great music playing. You've got the starry background, you got the starry platform, and everything looks and feels nice, but the gameplay is just completely boring. That's very sad. I mean, if you can see it on screen right now. It's just like we have one section that is just one bit of movement repeated like 3 or 4 times, and that's the entire that's everything. And then you just have that a bunch, and it's not even that interesting. Very sad, but still really like the aesthetics. On number 8 we have The Glow Zone by Sheriff Boyardee. Kind of a bit similar in tone and style from Starlane's Stroll and from the next map that we're gonna see. What I really liked about this map, though, in comparison to Starlane Stroll, is that it has, like, similarly, it has good music, it has a good style to it, very nice, very great, because both of these pretty much are, like, time rifts in gameplay style, but they do something good with the time rift idea, and in this case we have, like, the glow zone, where everything's a bit glowy and neon and stuff, and it's pretty good. The problem that I had with it, though, is that, for one, the checkpoints weren't actual checkpoints, they were like respawn triggers, which sometimes didn't work correctly. Sometimes it just sent you back half the stage, and if you die it just sends you back to the start of the stage. Why? A lot of the moving platforms are really weird, though. Like, usually I like jumping between platforms, but there were some really weird places in there. Like, yeah, the gameplay is a lot more varied than Starlane Stroll, but it's not 100. That's not always really good, because sometimes it's just really weird and frustrating if you fall off at some place. Like I don't know, rough edges on this one, but overall pretty good. Next up we have Disco Birddown, 2 exclamation marks, by Mr. Jingle Brawls. This map once again has this like starry feeling to it, like outer space. You even have moon physics when you jump. You jump way higher, which is pretty novel, I guess, but I mean, you know me, I'm a speedrunner. I like playing stuff fast, and of course playing like this is not very fast because you always have to wait for you to drop down the round, but whatever. I like the idea behind it. Overall the stage is like, if you look at the stage, it feels very different from everything else. But if you just look at what you're doing, if you look at the gameplay and the overall ideas behind everything, there's nothing super out of this world. I can't get it out of this world because it's space. Out in this stage, pretty much. It's mostly just jumping between platforms with like a regular jump. Sometimes you do a sprint jump, sometimes you do a double jump, sometimes you dive, sometimes you don't. And there you go. That's like 90% of the content in this stage. Already explained, which is very sad, very sad. But what I really liked about this stage, though, is also the fact that it has like different acts. Like, you begin by having like 2 timepieces that you can choose from, and you can do them in either order. And then when you've gotten both of those, you get like something that I've never seen before happens is you get like a loading screen that shows you Act 3. It's like you've just loaded into a different act, and then everything's different. Not everything's different, but then you get to go to a third timepiece, which is very interesting. Now, next up, on number 6, we have Blizzaria by Moonjumper. Now, this is also another stage that has some really nice ideas and really nice theme going. I'm like I keep saying this for every single map on this list, but that's just what December was like. December was full of these maps with like amazing ideas that were like trying to like branch out to not just be one small time rift or something. No, we actually have like a full stage now. And in this case, we have Blizzaria, which is like this land with like a lot of ice in it, and you like scoot around and you go to different places, and in each different place you have to do different tasks, and then you get a key, and if you've got the 3 keys you can go to the final part and stuff like that. Really like the idea behind this one. This one could have been way higher on the list, well, way higher, but at least a little bit higher, if there wasn't so much dead space in this, like way too many necro units. Wait, like you just spend so much time in this stage just going from point A to point B on a scooter, or even if you don't use it on a scooter, like by running, which is painfully slow. But there's like different music going on, there's different themes going on, different ideas everywhere. I like that, but why is there so much running around and so much empty space? So much empty space, guys. Empty space is never good unless you're Breath of the Wild, but that's like the one game exception. Unless you're Breath of the Wild, empty space is never good. Cut it out. I don't care if your stage is only a 10th of the size it was before. Of course, if it's a 10th of the size, if it has all of the gameplay in it that it had before, it's gonna be way more fun than if it's 10 times the size with the same amount of gameplay. Keep that in mind, guys. Also, next up, we have Raddwa's Mod World by Raddwa. Now for this one, I'm going to need to talk about it a little bit longer. Now this stage is a stage that requires you to use the Cappy Cap and the, what is it? The pin, the cyclone pin, you know what I mean, the cyclone pin from Freedom Planet. You need to use that one, and you need to use Cappy Cap. And if you use both at the same time, you can like throw Cappy Cap. Like, if you don't know how Cappy Cap works, of course you can throw it at enemies and stuff. I don't actually know if you can capture. I never even tried to capture enemies, but what you really use it for is you throw it in front of you. You like, keep holding down the button for your hat button. Throws it in front of you. It like circles around in the air, and then if you jump on it or jump at it, it's like a balloon. You basically you're like a balloon. You get an extra jump, and it like propels you upwards and it propels you forwards if you have a lot of speed. And then afterwards you can throw your hat another time, and you also get your double jump refreshed like a balloon. So you get to throw your hat a second time, and then you can jump on the hat again. And after that, you can't throw your hat anymore. At least I don't think you can. But you also get another double jump, and I think you also get your dive back all the time. So you actually have an insane amount of movement, especially when you use the cyclone hat together with that, because with the cyclone hat you get a lot of forwards momentum, and if you get a lot of forwards momentum and you go into the hat or a balloon, it's the same pretty much. It like propels you forward at the exact same speed that you went into the hat with. So because it gives you a lot of speed, if you use that to bump into the hat, it like shoots you forward really fast, and you get to do a second jump, you get to do a double jump, and then you can throw your hat again, and you can do another jump, and it's like an extreme amount of distance. And because you can also do double jumps all the time in between throwing hats, I mean, you can only throw your hat twice and bounce off it, but that's still enough to also get a lot of height upwards. So you can get a lot of height, or you can get a lot of distance, you can get a bit of in between if you want to as well. And because of that, you have like a lot of movement opportunities in this stage, and I really like the idea of using that to get around a stage. Like there was like another stage, like the Sonic stage, which I think was really cool, even though it didn't have too much special stuff in it. But it was a really cool idea to just use the Sonic hat and just go fast and make like a racetrack with it. Why not? There's all these crazy hats out there, actually not that many, but there's a few crazy hats out there. Let's design some stuff around it. I like the idea this map was going for it. This map has a lot of oh, actually before I get to that, also if you go to the like main part of the stage, where you're going around the base of this tree, there's some really cool stuff there. You have like a little village with these little cats, you have like the conductor standing around, you've got a little fountain with some goats, you can get to a place where there's like a fire with some spirits dancing around, you can get the different paintings and throw it into the fire, you can collect vault tickets and then get vault tickets to open up the vault. In the vault there's yellow paper which you can use to buy a key, which is very interesting, and then there's like a fortune teller which is cool, and there's all this kind of stuff. This JonTron is even there. I mean, I'm not gonna say too much about that, whatever. Also, I mean, there's so much stuff at the base of that tree. It's like really great stuff there, really great stuff there. And if that was like the entire stage, this stage would be like #1 tied or #2 or whatever. I don't know, it would be really high up on the list. But in its current stage, I can't give it any better than this, and I even debated it putting it lower on the list, because I don't know, it feels like there's a lot of disconnect going on in this stage. I don't mean disconnect between like the ghosts and the cats and the goats being in the same place. I don't even mean that. I mean disconnect in the gameplay. The level starts off, you have to go across this huge chasm where you need to use your Cyclone Hat and you need to use your Cappy Cap, which I guess it's okay to make the player understand, hey, you need to be able to use these two mechanics in the correct way to be able to play the stage. Thing is though, you don't actually need them that much to beat the stage. Like, you need to be able to jump high, I guess, and a little bit far to beat the stage, but there's some like 1 or 2 really far jumps at the start of that, and you never have to jump that far again, which I think is a bit weird. Anyway, like, putting that aside though, I find it very weird that like there's such a big difficulty spike right at the start, because if you've never used these two mechanics together, you might fall off for a few minutes before you actually realize how to make it across. I guess the player has to learn somehow the player has to learn how to do it, but I wonder if just being like, here's a far jump, do it, is the correct way of doing it, because the player doesn't really learn anything that way. They just feel like they're trying random stuff until something works. And then after that, the actual gameplay, like I said, around the bottom of the tree is very nice. Very nice stuff. Can't say enough how great the bottom of the tree actually is. Then you start climbing up the tree, and this is where stuff gets really bad. Because when you start climbing up the tree, you'll see that, well, at the start, everything is still alright. You just have a few branches with some leaves on it, you jump on those, you use Cappy Cap to get a little bit higher than usual. Nice. You jump on top of those, you jump to the next one, there's like ponds actually guiding you. Love that. There's ponds guiding you where to jump. Great stuff. And you do some really cool jumps around some branches, which is also pretty cool. And you do all of that. Great. But then everything just takes a nosedive downwards really far, just like you're gonna be doing when you're gonna play this stage and you're gonna fall off. Because for some reason, even though we've got all this cool stuff going on, which is also difficulty-wise fairly alright, suddenly we start to decide to just do a ton of really tight Dweller Mask jumps in a row. Like, it starts off with just 3, which is okay, but then it's like, okay, now do 15 or so Dweller Mask jumps in a row. What? Why? Why are we doing? Why are we suddenly having such a giant difficulty spike? On one hand, it's a difficulty spike that's really big for no reason. Players that don't know how to press all these buttons differently. Like, you need to activate Dweller Hat, jump on a thing, then pretty much jump and deactivate Dweller Hat at the same time. Do a double jump that's delayed. Delay a double jump. Delay a dive. Do the dive. Delay the rollout, and then with the perfect timing, use your Dweller Hat again, just barely, to land on the next platform. And now you need to do that. You need to do that without break, like 15 times or so in a row. Why?
I have nothing left.
Why? Also, as a side note, this is like, you get like this ponds row all the way up, where if you can collect all ponds in the timer, something great happens. Yeah, if you look at the screen, I did that almost perfectly and I still didn't get it. I don't know why. Anyway, why is that a thing? And I know that you can use the wall, like the purple walls, to do some wall runs and make it a little bit easier, but that also doesn't change the fact that it's just absolutely brain dead mechanics. There's nothing special about these mechanics and putting 15 of them in a row. I get mad when people do the same mechanics 3 times in a row. Why are we doing it so many times in a row now? But it doesn't even end there, because if it was just if the timepiece was at the end of that, I wouldn't even be that mad. What made me absolutely lose my mind is the fact that after that we have like, I didn't even count, let's just say 50 or so. 50 balloon jumps. 50 balloon jumps in a row. What? What? Are you... What? Is this a joke? I thought it was a joke at first, like, oh, okay, so it's gonna be like 10 and it's gonna like warp you upwards and like, just, how are there so many of these balloon jumps? Balloon jumps are the equivalent of like holding right and pressing A every now and then while randomly dying for no reason. I don't know. It's so dumb. Like, I mean, if you look at the recording, I actually did the entire thing in one go. I actually managed to do the entire thing in one go, but that was only after over half an hour of trying yesterday. So yesterday I tried for over half an hour, done it, and then today, in order to get the footage, I did it again, and then like on my second playthrough, I guess I got it first try. But still, I actually was so mad at the end of yesterday because of that. Why would you do that? Like, it's not just stupidly difficult for people that aren't really that good at like spatial relation in 3D games. Like, if you're really bad at like judging distance in a 3D game, you're gonna fall off repeatedly, and every time you fall off, it's gonna take you multiple minutes, maybe even, to get back up. Okay, so you fall off because you can't really judge distance, and then you go, there goes a few minutes. Okay. And you climb back up again and do the same thing again. And it's not even interesting gameplay. What's interesting about balloon jumps? Nothing is interesting about balloon jumps. It makes me so mad. Like, I know I've been talking about this for almost 10 minutes now, but this is something that just makes me so mad when you have such a great stage, such a great idea, so much cool stuff going on, and then you just piss it away with repeated bullshit mechanics. I'm sorry guys, this is nothing else I can say about this. Why would you do that? And no, Raddwa watches my videos. Please, Raddwa, learn from this. Learn from this. You said the map isn't done yet, and it shows. But do something about this, please. Just do something about this. You can't just do that. Whatever. Okay, whatever. We're done. We've talked way too much about this. Next up is something that I'm going to talk about for maybe like 10 seconds, because it's a Cookie and Times and Bookstore number 4 by Jack. It's a secret to everyone. Figure it out on yourself. Figure it out on your own, guys. Don't watch any hints. And I'm not going to give you hints. Just do it. And on number 3 we have Conductors Village by Lapppy. By the way, I'm already going to do the number 1 after this, because there's something a bit special about number 2. So I'm going to do number 1 first. Anyway. Conductors Village by Lapppy. So this is also one of these stages where it's trying to emulate like actually being a stage that you would find in a 3D game and not just like a linear experience. And this stage actually managed to have like all these different, I don't even need this, I don't even know why I have it on. This stage has like all these different activities that you have to do, which is really interesting, where you like walk up to an NPC and talk to him, and he's like, oh, I've lost my ball, can you get my ball to me? And then you go away, you just find the ball, you bring it back, and he's like, oh, you found my ball, thank you. I don't know, there's like a lot of stuff with triggers going on. Like there's a guy who wants you to bring him like all the pumpkins in the stage. There's another guy who's like trapped in some place and you need to free him out or whatever. You need to like do like all these different things. Somebody need to like fight a boss or whatever. And really diverse, interesting stuff going on all the time, and you actually need to do all that stuff. You need to actually help all these NPCs before you get the timepiece, which is very interesting. So it does feel like a complete stage. Now, coming to one more, I said something special about number 2. It's actually nothing special about number 2, because there is no number 2. There's only a number 1 now, because it's actually a tie. There's actually, number 1 is actually, I don't care. I don't care if people go like, no, you have to decide one. I'm not gonna decide on either of these, because these are amazing. This is a tie between 2 stages, one of which is the Haddon visual novel McDonald the Operation Core Base Infiltration by Boyardee 100. Now, this stage is... Actually, I need to say this about both stages. Both stages took me like over half an hour to beat. Which is mind-blowing, because if you watch anything I play through stuff really fast. I like playing stuff fast. So whenever I play a new stage fast, I just blaze through it, bam. But this stage, oh my god, this stage is amazingly big and varied. I'm not gonna show you too much of the stage because I want you guys to experience everything yourself. I'm just gonna show you something of like the first act. This stage has like 4 or 5 acts, I would say, and this is like, I'm gonna show you like half or like 60% of Act 1. That's like all I'm gonna show you. So basically, the idea is you go towards the core base. So first you need to travel there. You guys need to travel to the core base, which in itself is already quite long, like longer than a lot of other stages already. Maybe as long as, I don't know, nothing else on that. Maybe as long as the glow zone together with Disco Birddown. Like if you combine those, maybe it's about as long as this Act 1 takes. Actually, never mind, it's not even that long. I'm screwing you guys. Whatever. So first you go to the core base, then you need to infiltrate the core base, then you need to do some stealth action inside the core base, then you need to make your way to your prized timepiece. Then when you've got to the prized timepiece, you need to escape the base. When you escape the base, you need to make it to a remote location to actually weed off all your pursuers and make sure that you are safe out of the base. All of these different things that I've just mentioned takes quite a long time because there's like all of these different acts going on and like one after another, and all of these different acts are also like really different in not just style but also gameplay. There's like so much different gameplay going on, so many cool ideas put into the stage. It's just amazing how you put all of this into this one stage. Now all the stuff that I just said pretty much applies to the other one on this list as well. The other number one is White Tower Forest by Habboi. This is another thing of those, like I said earlier with A Cookie in Time, where I just said it's a secret to everyone. I'm gonna say that again here. I'm just gonna say that this stage is very similar to all the stuff that I just mentioned about the core base infiltration. Very similar with all the ideas behind there and how long it is. This stage took me, this is like by far the stage took me the longest to beat so far, like 1.5 hours I think. Actually never mind, the White Tower Hell took me 2 hours, but whatever. I'm just gonna say that whatever you see on screen right now, don't look at that. Don't look at that. Just find it out, guys. Just get in there. You know when you're done. You know when you're done, okay? If you're collecting a timepiece, something is wrong, okay guys? If you're collecting a sound timepiece, something is wrong. And that's the end of the list. So, after all of that, I just have to say, shout out to DanielCNR for having time visual novel McDonald's Adventure. I just have to say thank you guys for watching, and yeah, that was that. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.